Section 6.5, quadratic formula and the discriminant. Let's just dive right in. The standard form that we're going to be looking at for the quadratic equation is this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Right? We have an equation equal to 0. We're solving for x in this equation, and a is the leading coefficient, b the linear term, c is the constant term. Alright, now what we want to do is solve this, and when we solve it, we're going to use it using the quadratic formula, and it's negative b, or the opposite of the middle term, plus or minus the square root of the middle coefficient squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. That's the formula. Okay, let's just plug it in a typical equation. This is number 1 on the worksheet. I'm not following the directions yet. We'll talk about the directions a bit. Alright, so if this is a typical equation in this form, then a is 9, b is negative 5, and c is negative 4. I'm just going to plug it in. So b is negative 5, so it's the opposite of negative 5, plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times 9 times negative 4. That's 4ac all over 2 times 9. Remember, 9, a is 9. And we just work it out. I guess I'll go ahead and work this one out. So it's 5 plus or minus the square root of that gobbledygook. 25. 16 times 9. 44. That's a negative 4. Negative 4 positive. This ends up being positive 144. All over 18. Okay. That becomes 5 plus or minus square root of 169. That becomes 5 plus or minus 13 over 18. Alright. Almost done. Note here, this is plus or minus, which means you should work out this one, the plus version, which would end up equaling 1. And the minus version, 5 minus 13 over 18, which would be what? Negative 8 over 18, which reduces to, oh, I'm running out of space. Negative 4/9. Okay, that's it. That's the quadratic formula. The discriminant is this little piece in here. This determines the type of solutions you're going to get using the quadratic formula. Wow. Okay. So let's talk about that for a minute. Keep in mind the discriminant is under the radical. Right? The discriminant is under the radical, and the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. If the discriminant is greater than 0, then you're going to have 2 real solutions. Right? If the discriminant is equal to 0, you have 1 real solution. If the discriminant is negative or less than 0, then you're going to have 2 imaginary solutions. Or sometimes we say complex. Kind of like complex matter. Alright. The worksheet that you're going to see, they use the word imaginary. What's the difference between imaginary and complex? Well, technically, all numbers we use are complex, right? Because complex is a combination of real and imaginary. So, real numbers fit under the rule of complex numbers, or the umbrella of complex numbers. So when you put them together, ugh, I don't care what you call it. All right. Technically, it's complex numbers. All right. So I'm going to look at the worksheet now. The worksheet in the first part says find a discriminant. All right? Does it? You know what? I wrote the worksheet and I forgot what it says. All right. It says find the discriminant of each equation each quadratic equation, then state the number of type solutions. All right. So number 1, the problem was 9x squared minus 5x minus 4 equals 0. I lost sight of the video. Okay. If you recall, the discriminant was this part right here, is 169. Okay. So, and you did see that we had 2 real solutions, +1 and -4/9. So we say the discriminant is 169, and there are 2 real solutions, 2 reals. All right, let me do a couple more. Number 2, problem is -6x squared minus 5 equals 0. I'm going to write it out here. A is -6, B is 0, and C is -5. So B squared minus 4AC. So it's 0 squared minus 4 times -6 times -5. That's negative, 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 negative. So there's going to be a negative, what's that? -120. Alright, so we have a negative discriminant. So you're going to have 2 imaginary answers. So the discriminant is -120, and the type of solutions and how many there are is 2 imaginary. And number 3. Well, this is not quite in standard form, so you want to make sure you put it in standard form. Remember, standard form that we're talking about here is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So everything's on one side, and the right-hand side is 0. Well, this is not a 0, so we're going to move it. So it's 9k squared plus 6k, what's that, plus 1 equals 0. So a is 9, b is 6, and c is 1. The discriminant will be 6 squared minus 4 times 9 times 1. So this is what? This is 36 minus 36, means 0. So if we remember back here, if the discriminant is equal to 0, we have 1 real solution. So the discriminant is 0, and it's 1 real solution. See? Easy! Easy peasy. Okay. Alright. Let's go on to the bottom where we actually solve problems. I'm going to do 3 of these. I'm doing problems 9, 11, and 13. Alright, we're going to move everything to one side. Remember, everything in standard form. Okay. Now I'm using the whole formula. I'm not just using the discriminant. So I'm going to write the formula over here. I'm only going to do this for number 9. Write out the formula, that is. Alright. So B is 11. So it's -11 plus or minus square root of B squared, 11 squared, minus 4 times 6 times -21. All over 2 times 6. Okay. Now this is all calculations. -11 plus or minus 21. Use a calculator. Let's see. 4 times 6 times 21. Okay, negative times negative is positive, so it's plus 504 all over 12. I think it's 25. Yep, double check it on the calculator. Okay, so we worked that out. That's going to be -11 plus 25 over 12. That makes that what? 14 over 12, or 76. Then we have -11 minus 25 over 12. -36 over 12, making it -3. Okay, that's problem 9. Those are the answers. 7, 6, and negative 3. Technically, negative 3, 7, 6. Okay. All right. Number 11. Again, this is not in standard form, so we're going to move it so it's in standard form. 8x squared minus 10x minus 2 equals 0. This is like any other solving problem. If you have a common factor, you can get rid of it. We're not factoring. I'm going to go ahead and just divide the whole equation by 2, because there's a common factor of 2 in here. So that's going to be 4x squared minus 5x minus 1 equals 0. And then use the quadratic formula. Alright, so here we go. I said I wouldn't do this for the other equations. Other problems, but I'm going to write it down anyways. I'm mumbling. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Opposite of b, so it's 5 plus or minus square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 4 times negative 1. Remember, this 4 is always part of the problem. It's always part of the formula. So this 4 is from a and c is negative 1. Alright. All over 2 times 4. This is x. Now, 5 plus or minus square root of 25. That's going to be positive 16. Great. What is that? 41? Well, 41 can't be, square root of 41 can't be simplified. 41 is problem. So that's it. That's an acceptable answer for my class. Okay, 5 plus or minus square root of 41 over 8. The worksheet that you will look at gives the answer in this form. 5 plus square root of 41 over 8. Or 5 minus square root of 41 over 8. As far as I'm concerned, this is good enough. Okay? Alright, that's number 11. Number 13. Move everything to one side. Again, there are common factors. There's a common factor of 4, so we divide through by that. So it's 3r squared plus 2 equals 0. Okay, here I'm writing it out this time. A is 3, and B is 0, and C is 2. I have a tendency to write it out when any of the terms is 0, just to remind myself. Alright, so x equals the opposite of B. Opposite of 0 is 0. So I'm just going to write 0 plus or minus square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 3 times 2 all over 2 times 3. So 0 goes away there. Plus or minus square root of, I'm going to have a negative here. 4, 36, 12, 24 over 6. Alright. Remember, when a discriminant is negative, you're going to have imaginary answers. And this is the reason. Right? If you have a square root of negative, you're going to get imaginary. In my class, you're not allowed to leave a negative in a radical. So I'm going to take it out as I. Now I'm doing this separately. You don't have to do it separately. Square root of 24 can also be simplified, right? 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So there's a pair of 2's that can come out. Or if you think of it as 4 times 6, and 4 is a perfect square. So you can take that out. So in either case, either you do it the first way or the second way, a 2 comes out and a 6 remains. So you get plus or minus 2i root 6 over 6. Alright, here the 2 and the 6 reduce, giving me plus or minus I root 6 over 3. And that's my final answer. Alright. That's it. That's number 13, and that's the end of the video.